Let's be live. Let's be live.
Get a top secret note, hand it on set.
That's adorable.
Nice. Okay.
That's adorable.
I like script.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So we've got notes. We're gonna make another quilt label today. This is a quilt label channel for all of last week and all of this week.
How many ways can we label a quilt?
I pegged off a few ways.
Yeah.
Did I set? It's way over there. The magic of television from yesterday.
Magic of
I
television.
had it in my hand and then I set it down again. So, we're having a staff challenge. If you haven't been tuning in for the last couple weeks, we're telling you again now, even if you have been. Staff challenge. A couple weeks ago, we challenged whoever on staff wanted to play along to make a 3-yard quilt out of one of our 3-yard quilt books. The parameters were the 3-yard quilts are all made with 3 fabrics, a yard cut each, and there's about 8 books. There's probably about 8 books and probably 8 patterns per book. So everybody picked a different pattern. Everybody picked wildly different fabric. Went home, made the quilt. And then the second part of the challenge was quilting your quilt in a way that you haven't quilted before. So yesterday my quilt was here. We talked a little bit about how I quilted it. We've got Fern's quilt today.
Oh yes. That one can stay a secret till we show Magic of Television, can't it?
Yeah. Or
Secret.
Oh, it's secret?
Is it secret?
No, let's show it off.
Okay.
Let's show it off because
Twist my rubber arm.
Fern did a lovely job.
She did such a great job. I don't think there's
There's
a
back.
side.
There's a back.
Oh, you know what? It is directional. She made it directional. Okay.
Yeah.
Because she used directional fabric. Good job.
So we don't want their cranes standing on their heads.
No, look at that.
They're so cute. It's so pretty.
It's so beautiful. She did edge to edge on the handy quilter.
Programmed with Pro Stitcher, correct?
Yes, sorry.
Yeah. So she quilted this using our handy quilter. That was her first time loading up and running Pro Stitcher.
I think it's her first time using a long arm too.
Ooh, she jumped all the way in.
Just all the way.
All the way in. We should
so
spin
good,
it
though.
around. The quilting is beautiful. Like a big floral rose.
So pretty.
It's gorgeous. So gorgeous.
Oh yeah, it shows up great on the screen too.
Right? Nice. Anyway, that's another quilt in our
I will.
3-yard quilt challenge. These will be hanging in store. Hopefully we'll get them all up on the wall this coming Monday with signs, but details.
Hopefully.
And then everybody has to quilt it using something they haven't done before as a chance to learn something new. Barb is most of the way through her quilting.
Yes, well, she's doing hand, a luminaire, and I think she's going to try something really cool.
She's got some other ideas. So Barb's going all out crazy.
Goodness.
Yeah.
It's going to be crazy.
It's
I
gonna be
can't wait
crazy.
to see if she does it.
Yeah. And then the last part of the challenge is making a quilt label.
Yes.
So we started our quilt label journey last week with software, which is my favorite way to make quilt labels, but not everybody has software for digitizing and experimenting like that. So yesterday, last week we made a quilt label from scratch, embroidered it, and sewed it on. So you can watch last week's videos for all those steps. Yesterday we showed how to set up an embroidered quilt label on a Brother machine. Ran into a few small hiccups, have not updated that machine yet, but I think it needs an update. So this is the quilt label I made yesterday from my quilt.
It's so cute. And you made it with poly mesh as your stabilizer, right?
Yeah, and it's got fusible woven on the back to help support the stitches.
Oh, fusible woven.
Yes. So there's fusible woven in there. This finished stitching out, and I totally forgot to take it home and put it on my quilt. So
Is that why your quilt's not done?
I trimmed my quilt yesterday. My binding is made. I just need to remember when I go home that I have homework.
Yes, you do.
So I should take my quilt label home.
I think I won the race.
Chelsea was the first one done all the way. But that's okay. So anyway, Maybe you don't have a brother machine, so yesterday looked like something maybe your machine could do, but it was the wrong brand. So, as a brother and Bernina dealer, we play fair. I'm not going to leave my Bernina friends out. There's more than one way to do this on your Bernina as well. So let's fire up machine camera, and we'll talk you through how I might do this on board my machine from a Bernina standpoint. Okay, that'll work. Got like my reflection in the knobs, which is making me batty. But that's so on board the Bernina machines, there's a couple different ways of doing this. We've got the wording for Barb's label, which is very extensive.
I like it. It's cute.
So it's cute, but it's a lot of information. So there's two ways of doing all of this. I'm going to show you both because one's going to be a little bit easier than the other. Based on the size of quilt label we need, roughly like postcard, maybe a little bit bigger. The lettering on your Bernina machines comes in quite large. So the default size on these is 3s. Let's find some more punctuation. We can pick any font on here we want, and we'll see if this is going to be a happy way of doing this, or if we're going to...
You missed a space.
I did. Oh no! I have to retype. I can't talk while I type.
Some good typing there, Leah.
It's not a QWERTY keyboard. I don't know what I'm doing. My son is all over this type of keyboard because it's in alphabetical order. As somebody who's used to typing QWERTY, I can't do it. Okay, so I'm just going to enter one line at a time. Right now, I'm on a Bernina 880 right now. So the biggest hoop available on this machine is a jumbo hoop, which is nice and big. I don't remember the dimensions, but I should.
It's gigantic. I also don't remember the dimensions.
400 this way by 260 millimeters this way. So right now, those are very, very big letters, and we could do all of this, but Barb has a whole lot of information she wants. So if all we were looking to do was have 3 as a crowd, we could load it in this way, and I could say I would actually like to do this in a large oval because I know that that's going to make a nice size label.
Yep.
I don't want a massive label, so let's start with that so that we can kind of see scale as we go. I don't think I'm going to get all of this sized exactly how I want it this way, but we'll load everything else the other way after. So we can add another layer in here. If you have a Bernina that does not allow you to add multiple layers of text, you will have to do line by line. But most of the newer interfaces do allow you to do multiples. Three-yard quilt. I can see that's like way too long, but that's okay. I'm going to move that up for a moment. I'm actually going to group these all and size them all together is where I'm headed with this.
It's a good idea.
So I can size everything at once and not size things weird.
Oh, you don't want one size of text on one line and a different completely...
No, turns out that doesn't crack me up. I really like my fonts to match line to line.
All right.
I don't think she gets the word and. She gets an ampersand. Don't get my son started on ampersands. They're not a real thing, and he yells. It's very funny.
Aww.
Very stressful reading some things where they put ampersands in.
Why doesn't he like ampersands?
He wasn't taught about them in kindergarten, so they don't exist.
Okay.
I think that's really the issue. They're not a thing. Also, anything written in French is not a thing. It's just gibberish, so...
Okay.
Made and quilted 3 ways. We're going to move that down just a little bit. Add another layer in.
Yeah, that is weird to watch. All the... It's a weird keyboard. Why didn't they make QWERTY keyboards on here?
Probably because I'm not going to type like this anyway.
I don't type like that on my phone.
I type like this
My
on my
phone's
phone.
a QWERTY.
I don't have an answer for you. I'll add one more layer in and let's put October. Everybody else puts September. I guess Barb puts the finishing month, not the starting month. Doesn't really matter.
I like to make it look like I was a keener.
Okay. So essentially what we've got right now, if I go back to a jumbo hoop, we'll be able to see all of that. It is still like far too big to be loaded in there at once, but this gives us a chance to see if we like the spacing between our lines and see if we want to change anything from here. So each layer in here is one line of text. And if I decide these need more spacing, under I for info and the move icon, I could move this one up using my stitch length knob. And if we get in there, we can actually see what our distance is. So I would like this centered, XY, so everything is centered together in my hoop. So center that and space that way. So if it's X is 0, it's centered this way.
That's cool. I did not know that.
Put that down and give those lines more space. And Schuler. And this is still far too big. But we can go back down to that very bottom layer to see everything all at once. So when the hoop is red, it is outside of the area that you can work in. So our first option would be to take the whole design, which is that bottom layer. It's not labeled 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's just the bottom layer. And we could rotate the whole thing 90 degrees.
Oh, it fits.
So that would fit in a jumbo hoop. However, that is a massive quilt label.
Are you sure you don't want it that big?
I'm pretty sure I don't want to make a quilt label that big. But we have options to size our text on our Berninas, and that would be the direction we could go right now. So because we're working with the layer that's all of these things together, they'll all size together at this point, which will be the friendliest. So we'll go in here, and generally on board most of your machines, you can size up or down by 20%. The fonts built into the Bernina embroidery are an exception to that. So that you're able to size those further and recalculate stitches if you have a machine with density control, which most Berninas do. And they will recalculate stitches. So right now, I'm going to turn on that large oval again to see if I can get this size down to a point where I'm happier with the overall size. My large oval's total stitching area like 5 by 7 or a little bit longer. So let's go with roughly that size. So when that red box goes away, I will have made it small enough. And in our sizing option here, if that white highlighted thing, it's a link, is turned on, you're going to size proportionately both dimensions. So you're not going to get like tall, skinny letters. You're going to get reasonable, nice letters.
That looks beautiful.
So it's pretty good. I can't get a square basting box around it just yet. And looking at it, there's one line I'd like to move. Which is probably my third layer. And I want to move it right about there, I think.
Very good.
So 3's a crowd, 3-yard quilt. I might have a space issue in there, but we can't onboard the machine without retyping that line, go back and fix that. So we've got all the information we need. This would be ready to stitch. I don't have Barb's fabric here to actually make her quilt label, but I'm going to save this to the machine and get her approval.
It's a good call.
Because
we picked a font without her.
She did say script, and then I promptly went with this, which is not script. But like I said, there's more than one way to get to a quilt label. So from here, going into the final stitching screen, let the machine do its burp and wiggle to wake up. It's ready for a hoop.
Still ready for a hoop.
Let's pretend we have a hoop. It's very, very eager to have a hoop. Oh, I didn't recalculate the density. Hang on. Squirreled. Hang on. We'll go back a moment. So we sized this down 57%. Which it just shows 0 now. On board here, if you were to test sew this and you did scale it back down this much, the bottom icon in your info and edit is this one, which is your bottom icon here is density. So if you decrease the size by 50%, you're probably going to need to decrease your density by close to that much as well. And in this screen, whichever knob is highlighted white is the one that will do the job for you. So in this case, it's the bottom knob. So we're going to decrease the density on this. Might not go down quite as far. I went down about 57% in size. I'm going to go down about 60 to 60% in density. It'll be pretty close.
Cool.
This is something where if you're changing sizes this much on board your machine, do a test sew. Don't put your really good fabric in here first, because you might be really happy with the density change you made, or you might not be. There's two kinds of embroiderers, those who test and those who wish they'd tested. Just saying. You'll be happier if you test. Let's drop that hoop on there. It's ready. When we're at our ready to embroider screen, we're going to want to add a basting box so we can trim this out nice and tidy. And that square basting box,
oh, fabulous,
will be pretty good. It is curved a little bit at the corners, but we've got a nice straight basting line top and bottom and both sides. So we can cut a square box out of our label. So this is one way to make a quilt label on a Bernina. If doing the size changes is daunting and doesn't excite you a whole bunch, there's another way. So magic of a television, we're going to quilt a label. I'm going to save this to the machine so we can use it later. So file folder, the one with the heart. I'm going to save it to the machine, which machine icon is up there, and green check mark. And then if I wanted to go reopen this later, I'm going to go up there on the machine. In our heart folder is that label. So it's saved to the machine. And if Barb approves of this one, we can stitch this one out. Or we'll try something different. The other way of doing this, neither way is wrong. They're just different. We're going to go back to our home screen and we're going to go back into the sewing side of our machine. We're going to take our hoop off. And then we're going to... Our machine thinks we have a straight stitch plate on, which it's going to be very unhappy with in a moment. We're going to switch back to a 9mm. We're not actually going to sew in sewing mode, but we're going to use combination mode to build our words out. And then we'll get like 9mm size letters, which might be a nice little label. So more than one way to get there. You decide which one you want to do. And we could still embroider this or stitch it out using decorative stitches. There's two ways of handling this from here. So from here, if you wanted to build out words using the built-in decorative stitch lettering, we're going to go to combination mode, which is the plus sign at the bottom of the screen. And then we can go into our fonts. And Barb said she likes scripty fonts, which I think that one's quite lovely. I think that'll work. And I find it quite a pain to poke through this particular screen to write things. So I'm going to arrow over and get myself a full screen version. It's still not a QWERTY keyboard, but we have our options. So each font will have slightly different punctuation available. Three. And then space on board. This will be an underscore. So we don't get regular actual spaces like you get in embroidery mode.
That makes sense.
Underscore, because this would stitch out continuously.
Mm-hmm. Would that stitch almost be like a basting stitch that you could remove later, or will you have to keep it?
Depending if you put knots in the middle of it or not, because you could program knots on either side of that. I would probably leave it because it's like two little stitches. It's not going to be big.
Probably
and they're
more.
not tied off at either end like in embroidery.
Yeah.
So 3's a crowd. And then we can swing that back shut. And that will say 3's a crowd. I'm not sure I like the exclamation points in this one. They look a little wonky because they're... We could zoom. Yeah, those don't really look like exclamation points. Nope.
Our quotations look a little like an upside down Y.
Yeah, I'm not thrilled with them.
Why?
So, if there's a piece in here that we don't like, we can go to I for info and delete that one. And we can scroll back through this menu. I'm going to leave that underscore for my space. I'm going to delete that one. I'm going to delete that one. 3 is a crowd. Looks fairly reasonable. Again, if we wanted to kind of zoom out and see what it's going to look like stitched out.
I like that better.
That's a little tidier.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something where if you really wanted to poke through this and wanted to do it this way, you could poke through your other fonts. And maybe there's a different quotation point or exclamation point. Nope. I don't know the word for the thing. Apostrophe. Didn't expect to have to teach English grammar things today. So sure. Got that under control. So this is essentially this line of this is ready to go. And we could either stitch this out on fabric using, you'd still want to use some stabilizer, but if you have a machine with no embroidery, you could just stitch this line out.
Yeah.
That would be an option. If you know you want to pull this into embroidery mode and let your embroidery machine stitch it out so you can see placement and not have to worry about fabric feed and driving with your foot pedal and running into a second version of 3's a crowd, because if you don't stop it at the right time, it will. Maybe we should stitch this out.
White as well. There's a foot right there.
There is a foot right there.
And
let's stitch this
here's a little chunk of fabric.
I was thinking we could just stitch on the bottom of my orange there.
Oh, sure.
That has stabilizer under it already. And we've got a little bit of... I don't have a foot pedal. I don't know where those went in the studio.
Whoa.
Just saying.
I might be able to find one. Do you want one?
No, I'll be okay.
Okay.
I don't desperately need it for this, so I'll just stitch at the bottom end of... Which end has... Nope. Top end of this has more fabric in behind it. More...
Feasible woven.
Feasible woven.
This is why I came today, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm out of words. So for this, we could use a drawn line on our fabric ahead to keep this going straight. And what we're going to do is we're going to follow on screen where it's stitching, and when it gets to the D in crowd, we're going to hit the pattern end button. And the pattern end button will stop it after one repeat of the whole thing, without us having to like count stitches through the end of the D.
You're very ready.
I'm very ready.
It's not quite there.
I know, but I like to be ready.
Don't want to be like, oh my gosh, I didn't get it.
You don't want to carry on and start the next word. I don't like picking lettering out.
Well, that's how Cam got his name.
So press the pattern end, that button lights up, and it's going to stop at the end of the D for me. And right now my pattern end is programmed to cut.
Very good.
So in that case, we've got three's a crowd.
That's fabulous.
So we could do this. Probably what you'd want to do is, if we're trying to build a multi-line thing, you'd want to save each of these rows, test sew them, and then figure out your spacing and placement. So if you want to save a combined file, we're going to go to the heart. And the arrow down is the save to a folder. And we'll hit the check mark. So the saved combination stitches are only available to you in saved combination mode. They don't magically appear other places. So when you're out of combination mode and you go to your heart and you go to open, you're not going to find your saved combination stitches because you're in the wrong room. You're looking for combos at the drive-through and you're in the single item line. Not going to find it.
That's so sad.
I know. If you want to find your combined stitches, they'll be in here. So we could open them from there.
Oh, look, there's Leah 2022.
It looks like I've maybe done this before. From here, the other thing you can do, if you made it in the sewing mode, and you did want to use your placement tools to get this lined up properly and centered line by line in your hoop, we could go back to our embroidery mode. And it's going to think really hard for a moment. Go up a folder. And in your saved stitches in the heart folder, in the built-in folders, the heart, the last thing you stitched on the sewing side of the machine will appear. Mm-hmm. So normally this is just a straight pink line and everybody's like, how do I get rid of the straight pink line? I'm like, you can't. This is the last thing you used on the sewing side of it. It's just there, but it's a good thing. You want that there because that means we can pull in things like three's a crowd. And then start using your embroidery placement tools to get your lines of text lined up. So it would be a little bit of back and forth to make each line, but you could bring them all in this way and save them as you go. So that's my recommend. There's more than one way to get there.
More than one.
More than one.
Some are easier than others.
And it's a matter of finding what's going to work
totally
for you and your brain. So we could go back and build my second line, build it all in that way. Maybe kind of, sort of.
I like the embroidery one.
I really like embroidery options.
Then I can walk away as it stitches.
Well, and depending, like the decorative stitches sewing mode, you still have to stabilize because these are still too much thread to lay nicely without stabilizer in underneath. We don't have a nice trimming line at the end like our basting box from our other quilt label options. And depending, like from a sewing perspective, if you're an eager fabric guider, enthusiastic fabric guider,
backseat driver,
your lines probably won't be straight next to each other. So it does take some finesse and practice. If you wanted all of them to have like left justification on the fonts, pretty easy to set that up. If you want multiple lines of text centered in sewing mode, it's harder because it does require some planning and some prep. Not impossible, but more thinky think.
Thinky think. I like that.
Am I using words that don't count today?
I'm enjoying your words wholeheartedly.
Okay, that's good.
I think they're great.
So, like I said, more than one way to get there. Matter of finding which way works for you. If you don't have an embroidery machine at all, these decorative stitches, fantastic way to label your quilts. But
They're
again,
fantastic.
make sure that you have some support for your fabric. You don't necessarily need the fusible woven and lettering this size, but you will want some stabilizer in behind. And polymesh or clean and tear both would be lovely. But you want to fuse hold those together really well with some glue, like 505 or iron on. There's fusible clean and tear. That would be an option as well.
Fusible clean and tear too?
Yes.
That's cool.
Yeah. So there's, I don't know. I can think of at least 3 more software programs to use for making labels.
How many can we do?
Well, there's more people making quilts, and I haven't demoed all the ways yet.
It's true.
But you guys didn't know you need like 2 full weeks of labels. I have another label trick. Maybe we'll do that one tomorrow.
Oh, great.
For ironing labels on at the end.
Let's do that.
Yeah.
That sounds cool.
Yeah. Requires 1 more piece of stabilizer at the end. On top.
Interesting.
Fancy corner
I'm
turning.
in.
Yeah. We'll do that on the next one we stitch out.
Sounds good.
We'll do... I don't know. I don't quite know how we'll do that yet. Maybe we'll do it on barbs and stitch it out. Labels don't stitch very fast. Wording is never fast to stitch.
There's so many jump stitches and tie-offs and
Yeah.
cutting and
Yeah, just
all the good things, though.
all the good things.
You need it.
Yeah, the magic just happens. I think we'll show you the other way tomorrow with 1 more piece of stabilizer where we fold it. But we could even stitch that on after. Wouldn't have to be stitched in on the machine.
It's true.
We've got options. So, unfortunately, it wasn't Wacky Wednesday today.
Well, I don't know. Some of the words you said were pretty wacky.
Not wacky like Sandy, though.
No.
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 And hopefully that helps you use your machine to make labels on the Bernina side.
Now you don't have to doodle with markers like I do.
You can still doodle with markers. It's fun.
It's true. But
You-
they don't
you could-
last as long as the thread.
It's true. You could doodle after you make the label.
Yeah, you could fill in like little spots.
Yeah.
That'd be cute.
Other things, if you want to see something cute that happened today. In our stitch party class this morning, we were making a pillow that said welcome, but I didn't want to make another welcome pillow.
It's adorable.
So this is from Zen Florals is the design collection that this is from, and stitched on an OESD pillow blank.
I like it.
It's pretty good. It has some, it's drying right now because I got a little vigorous washing the stitch
little.
H2O off the top. Once I got excited and just put it in the sink.
She was impatient.
I was impatient. And fabric. Today we have a fabric line called Wildwood Wander.
Oh, you knew the name?
No, I could read it from here.
Oh, it's right there. You should have just ran with that.
Yes, I just knew the name.
Oh, it's too late now. You already told me you cheated.
I read it. I cheated. Fabric is a little delayed hitting the web this week, so if you're looking for any of the new collections we're showing this week, they're going to be a day or two. It's been a slow web week.
They're coming.
They're coming. But yeah, that's what's going on. A couple more seats in our North Pole tier tray class if you want to learn more embroidery things.
It's gonna be
There's 2 spots left in that. The continuation of yesterday's education meeting happened this afternoon.
Yep, it was fun.
So watch your e-news this week
Most definitely watch your e-news this week.
because we put several things on the calendar. Several.
Like 7? 6?
More than one.
6 or 7 or something.
More than
There was
one.
a lot.
There was a lot. So yeah, there's more stuff coming your way for like actual sign up, join us on Zoom or in-person classes. So we're very excited about those. But that's what we've got for you guys today. Yet another quilt label. You didn't know you needed. I'm gonna do one more. One more quilt label video.
We're doing one more.
We're doing one more. Come back tomorrow for one more quilt label video. Then we might be done.
Well, I won't be here on Friday, so I'll be done.
I will have my quilt done.
You're gonna have your quilt done for Friday?
Oh, I'm not gonna make promises.
That would be excellent.
It would be excellent.
Or you could take this weekend and sew it more.
It just needs binding and a label. If I take the label home,
Put it in your pocket.
yes, I can't squirrel on my way home today.
No.
I have to focus. Go home.
Focus.
Make the binding.
Blinders.
I don't know what happened last night. I knew I had things I wanted to do, and then
I don't know what happened.
I don't know. I got home and like forgot everything the whole day.
You just went and had fun stuff instead.
No, I went to bed early,
Ooh, I'm jealous.
which I needed to do.
I need to do that.
Okay. Well, we're gonna let you guys go so you can go to bed early or so.